500 children in foster care.
So it's way more prevalent than like small. So 500 in just one. So like what I'm not saying is, you're going to ruin God's plan because he made this one.
No, that's what you said.
No.
You said it. Like the thought of missing out on experiencing Leah's calling, like be. Hey guys, welcome to the Ramble. We've got our first special guest, which is really exciting because she's one of my favorite people in the history of people I've known. Leah Biorn to talk about foster care with us. Say hi to everybody, Leah.
Hey, everyone.
And this lovable lug over here.
Lug? Dude.
Pastor Jacob's in the house.
Fat?
Nope. No, I'm just calling you a big, strong man.
Oh, thanks.
Hey, say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody.
And I'm Pastor Jeff. This is the Restore Ramble. And our goal is to talk about stuff, and all of this
all the stuff relating to church, faith, all of it. Man.
All the stuff.
Wrong one.
Wrong one.
That's for
Wrong one. There we go.
There
We're going
we
to
go.
talk about all the stuff.
I got to make sure that we're not being muted here. Hold on.
I hope we're not being muted
We're
right
on
now.
standard. Okay, good.
Okay.
Man, Garage Band.
And
Yep.
why are we doing this one here today? Because November is National Adoption Awareness Month. So that's why I really wanted a chance for us to have this conversation now. We've been talking about it for months when I can come on your podcast and talk about this. So we decided time is right.
Over a year ago,
Yes.
we recorded a podcast. Did we record it on Rap? And what we were going to is going to be the first episode we were going to record with Leah, and the quality was just not good enough. We just couldn't get it working. But man, it's so good to have you here. You took the words right out of my mouth, literally.
And I think
I'm the transition guy, Leah.
Yeah. Ooh, there you go. There you go.
My job.
Stole it. Well, I think
let's go.
Leah's going to be a reoccurring guest for us. She's going to be on here once in a while,
Absolutely.
giving Sophie a break once in a while.
Yeah.
And so get to know Leah because you'll see more of her. And so we're going to talk about foster ministry. And the way we do
Adoption.
this is adoption
And foster ministry.
and foster ministry.
All of it.
Yeah. All of my thoughts were geared towards foster stuff. So
It's all right.
we'll
I
talk
got
about
you.
both.
Don't you worry.
But Pastor Jacob usually leads us off with some questions to
Yeah.
kind of help flush out the conversation. So what do you got prepped for us today?
Yeah. So the big question is, why do Christians? Number one, just some data. Christians are the largest group of people, and they adopt at the highest rate. Correct?
Yeah, nationally, Christians are more likely to adopt than non-Christians.
So the first question that I have is number one.
I didn't know that. That's fun to know.
Why do you think
Good job,
that is?
Christians.
And number two is, why should Christians care and be way more invested than we are right now in foster care and adoption? So number one, why are Christians the largest population of people who are invested in adoption in America? Why do you think that is?
Why do I think that is? I think as Christians, our worldview is that we've been adopted by Christ. We live to serve him. We are his, and these children are his.
Yes.
So as Christians, we see our lives as a mission and not just to have fun and to enjoy it. As if your life is a mission, these kids are God's kids, and I think Christians are able to take on the hard job of parenting someone else's child and raising someone else's child and loving them selflessly because they have the Christian perspective that Christ loved them first.
That's really good.
And Christ adopted us. Like we are adopted into the family of God.
Yeah.
And it's like it is an expression of the gospel.
Yeah. Romans 8:13 says, "For we have not been given a spirit of fear to fall back into slavery, but we've been given the spirit of adoption by whom we cry out, Abba, Father."
Let's go.
And the Spirit testifies that we are his. Listen, the quote isn't done, Pastor.
I know, but it's so good. Just roll with it, man.
so if we've been adopted, then we've been made heirs and co-heirs with Christ. So, and all creation is longing for the revealing of the sons of God. So yeah, that's like the big theological, that we have been adopted by God into his family. And really interesting about that term, just to exegete the text a little bit, is
preach it.
In first century Rome, it was common for families to be able to disown their natural born children. So say, you have none of my inheritance, you're no longer my child. But when a father would say, I am adopting this child, they would be given the same inheritance as their firstborn, and it's irrevocable. So he couldn't one day say, no, you no longer get this inheritance. But when adopted, they were adopted as, so they could never be removed from that position of honor in the household.
And that's the language Romans uses to express that thought, which is just crazy, especially if you apply it to the gospel on our adoption. Man, it's so good.
Yeah.
So good.
So it's safe to say there's close to like probably 200 to 500 kids in foster care.
Probably, no, there's way more than that.
Way more. So like upwards of thousands.
In Pennington County alone, there's 500 children in foster care.
So it's way more prevalent than like small. So 500 in just one county. Mm-hmm. Wow. Why should Christians be way more involved in foster care and adoption? Like,
I feel so strongly that Christians should care about fostering and adopting, because Jesus loves these kids so much. They are his kids, and he is our king, and they need safe homes, and we have safe homes. All they need is someone to accept them and love them, just like Christ has accepted us and loved us, and just provide for their needs. And I think that Christians who are involved in a local church are the perfect people to take that on. And because we have the church surrounding us, we have the support of one another. We can get them involved in children's ministry and all of these different ways to have safe adults, and so that they can one day choose to follow Jesus too.
Yeah. I want to jump in on that too, Leah. Like, I don't think that there's a single organization on planet Earth that is equipped with the tools to care for these kids like the church. It's like the church has everything, or most things, and if the things it doesn't have, it could get. The church has everything it needs to care for these kids. The church has everything needed to care for these kids. It has, a healthy church would say, hey, there's a community that can wrap around them, which we can talk about in a little bit. It has resources for kids built into it. It has this just positive environment that's meant to be nurturing and helping when you're in vulnerable season in life. And we just go on and on and on. There's nothing like the church equipped to do this. And so it's like, and even in a healthy church, family A fosters or adopts child ABC. And then it's not just them adopting it, they're adopting it into this larger faith family who's taking care of them while they take care of them. At least that's what should happen. And it's just, the church is the perfect place to do it. And it's just awesome.
Yeah. That's really good.
Leah, what led you to where you're at in life? So you're fostering, like you're a foster mom. You and your husband, Daniel, also incredible. You guys are a team, foster parents. But like there was some sort of catalyst in your life that led you from fostering to being like a champion of fostering and adoption, where you actually have two leadership roles. You have a part-time job with South Dakota Kids Belong to care for people across the region, but then you also have this, it's almost like a second part-time job of caring for people in our community through your church. So like what led you from being a foster parent to being just this champion of foster care and adoption?
I Well, when we first started fostering, it wasn't in my mindset that we would be leading a ministry for foster care today. We planned to just be involved in our local church and be foster parents just because we could be and live our life normally otherwise. Early into it, I think we just I recognized that there was a big need for more support. There wasn't good community amongst the local foster families. We didn't even know who each other were. And so because we didn't know who each other were, we were just, relying on the department and stuff for answering questions and providing support and all of those things. And there was just really a need for more support. So that's when I was introduced to South Dakota Kids Belong and just learned what they were trying to do with RAP and getting support for families. So I just linked arms with them a few years ago as a volunteer and thought, man, this is really what we need in Yankton. So then just decided, I don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but I'm going to work with them and we're going to do this here in Yankton. And now 2 years later, we've got a whole ministry here at Restore Church, and we've got RAP teams, we've got the Restore Foster Closet, and we probably have the healthiest community in the whole state as far as foster care goes.
Wow.
Come on, somebody.
So what do you like? What do you think? I want to keep using the word catalyst. So meeting South Dakota Kids Belong was kind of the catalyst to help you go to the next level. What during that couple year process, what do you think has empowered you to kind of spearhead making Yankton the most, what was the word you just used? The healthiest. What has empowered you and the foster community in Yankton to be the healthiest part of the state for fostering?
We've worked really hard to build relationships amongst all of the foster families. So there's 11 foster families right in town and a few that live right outside of town who we pretty much consider in Yankton. So we've worked hard to just become friends with them, and we help them with respite for the kids in their care and those types of things. We've worked really hard to build relationships with the department, with the supervisors in Vermilion and in Yankton, with our licensing worker through DSS. So just through all of those relationships becoming trusting and healthy, I think that is a huge piece of it. So that just took time and energy and to build those friendships. I think that has made the biggest difference. And then now allowing community members to get involved has been another thing. Once we started Restore Foster Closet and we started RAP teams, this was an invitation for other people who weren't maybe part of the department or going to get licensed to be part of the solution. And I think that just opened the eyes of the community to the need and ways they could get involved.
What has Restore done to help make that possible as your church? I'm thinking if someone else listens to this, they're like, I want to do this. It sounds like it works well in cooperation with the church. What has Restore done to help make this successful? Yeah.
So when I think, or way early back when I talked to you about this, you were like, I was like, I want to do some sort of foster care ministry here. And you're like, sure, let's do it. What does it look like? What do you want to do? And I think one of the first things I asked for was a space. So the church, Restore Church, has provided part of the lower level of Kids Campus for the Restore Foster Closet. We started in one classroom and now we have 3 classrooms down there. We also have some stuff in the church storage unit.
Yeah.
So the church has been really generous in providing that space. We don't have to pay rent or anything like that. So that's a helpful way church can help. Church has helped in tons of ways promoting it.
And I think I really want to, and I don't want this to sound self-serving, but I really want to compliment the church on saying yes to stuff like that. So space is an interesting thing to give any ministry, because there's a million ministries that could say, well, we don't want them to have that space. We want that space. And I've never once heard anybody at Restore say, begrudgingly, well, fine, we'll give them that space, but we don't want to. Like, everybody's been really gracious together to say, you know what, we're happy to give that space. Like the kids campus, nobody's saying, well, I want that space to make the kids campus bigger. They're like, no, we're happy to sacrifice that space because we see the good and the value in what it's doing. And I never want to lose gratitude for that, because I think sometimes when ministries grow in a church, and you've never voiced this feeling to me, but I have had a couple leaders voice this to me. Sometimes when you go through a season of like, I have this many volunteers and I've continued to have this many volunteers for a while, whether it's 10 or 50, sometimes there's this feeling of like, well, nobody's helping. I'm doing so much and nobody's helping. And it's like, well, no, so many people are helping, and the ones that aren't helping or can't help because they're already doing ministry X, Y, or Z, they're like, but I'm cheering you on, and I'm not fighting for resources. I'm so happy to share resources. And I just think that's such a beautiful picture of the church being able to help make this thing a reality, just with something as simple as resource allocation.
Yeah, and volunteers have been really helpful through Restore. Like, we do monthly work days at the Foster Closet, and that's a Sunday afternoon, and we always have volunteers from church who come and help us with that. And that is the piece that it can get really tiresome for our team, is just sorting through donations and stocking up the Foster Closet. So that's a way that they've been really helpful.
What's something that the average churchgoer can do to help with something like this in their own community? So, like, we have a bunch of next steps for people at Restore. You know, we talk about it in our announcement strategy. Like, we have stuff in our lobby. It's on our calendar. What can someone who's watching this podcast, maybe from another ministry, do to just, like, what are practical steps where they can begin building something like RAP or the foster ministry, or like, how can just the average Christian help with adoption? Like, so for me, I'm a single dude who lives in the basement of a married couple, and neither of us have kids. And like, what can I do in that sense, like, to help with this adoption, you know, kids, this epidemic where there are kids with no parents, no forever families?
I would encourage people to find out if there are any families in your local church who are fostering or have adopted or are pursuing adoption. And if there are, I would get to know them and ask how you can support and appreciate them. They will know personally what the needs are, because once you're inside this world, you can't unknow the needs. They're hearing direct lines from the department. They're getting emails asking if they'll consider placement of these children. So they know the inside scoop, and they feel probably burdened by that, and it's a lot on them. So get to know the foster families in your church, the adoptive families in your church, and support them. You might support them practically by bringing over supper or offering to watch the children so that they can have a little break or a date or a weekend or something. As far as like helping these kids find forever families, you can help by sharing, like the South Dakota Kids Belong, when they make posts about children in need of homes through adoption, you can share those so we can get them out so more people will be able to see them. You can even be creative. Maybe you could mentor, a teenager that doesn't have a healthy home life, who just needs a big brother or father figure in his life, or help with homework, or, there's different ways that even a single guy like you could help.
Or adopt and foster, right? Mm-hmm. Just go the distance.
You can adopt, you can foster. You don't have to be married. You don't have to own a home.
That's scary.
You don't have to be a stay-at-home parent. There's a lot of myths that we could bust about what was required.
Yeah, let's talk. So, like, for me, I'm terrified of of being like a foster parent or like an actual dad right now, because I'm
20.
I'm 20. I'm 26.
26.
I don't.
But should that stop him? Do you
Nope.
think should that stop him? Do it.
Well, he could still consider
You're on the
it.
spot. Do it. Do it. Do it.
Not everybody has to do it, but everyone should consider it. And if the first thing that comes to your mind is about 5 excuses why you can't, I would challenge you to reverse and really think about those excuses or those reasons why you can't, and just really think about it. Like, we have this one life to live for one king. These are precious lives. If the things that are getting in the way are like, soccer practice and stuff like that, then we really just need to think.
And I mean, the reality is with anything we do to honor Jesus, anything, it will always require sacrifice, and it will always be more difficult than not doing it, right? And I'm teasing you about doing this, but like, I'm not fostering or adopting right now either. Brittany and I plan to in a season of life where like, and I think, and this is gonna be interesting. I'm gonna make the statement that everybody can make, but our life is nuts, and it would be a disservice to the child we adopted if we adopted a child right now. I think some people say that, and it's not true. And so it's a complicated conversation, and I'm acknowledging that. I'm saying what most people say. I'm going to justify why my situation's true, and then I'm going to say other people don't have that truth. And they're going to say, well, that's really arrogant of you. But the reality is some people will say that and it's true. Some people will say that and it's not true.
Yeah.
And we have to be able to have really, really big sober-mindedness and say, can I or should I do this? Right? And if the answer is, well, it's going to be hard or require sacrifice. Yeah. Making a difference always will, but it's going to be worth the sacrifice. And so I love that. Leah, I want to ask a question that I think about this, and I think about in the context of getting this conversation in other churches, between other pastors, especially because that's my circle. And I think this conversation's super, 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 super well known in our church circle because you've championed it so well, and your leadership team beside you and whatnot has really championed the conversation. But I think some people could just go rogue and just do this by themselves in their church. Somebody could hear this in town Timbuktu, USA, say, oh, cool, I'm going to help with adoption and foster ministry. And they just go and do it. But I think things are always more effective when there's like a system and an organizational pull behind it. Whereas like Restore has a foster ministry that we say, like, we take ownership of this as a church. And I have a friend in another part of the state who does foster ministry, but he has a lot of tension that like the church isn't behind it. He's doing it at his church. So you take all that and what should another pastor hear or do? And this is super self-serving on my part. Like what have I done as like a decision maker to empower you to do that? Because I think a lot of times somebody does that, but there's a decision maker at the ministry who kind of sets them up for failure. Because it's like, well, there's passionate person X who says, all right, hey, pastor, or hey, church, or hey, leaders, or hey, board, or whoever, like, I want our church to change the world for foster ministry. And they're like, cool, you do that. And I'm going to do this. And to give a really concrete example, I was trying to help a couple who wanted to do discipleship, really robust discipleship ministry in their church. And I had a bunch of coaching meetings with them on how they could build this robust discipleship system. And they were ready to rock and roll. But I'm like, hey, like, I don't think this will be successful unless your church leadership helps make it a reality. And they don't have to work against you to make it fail. They just need to not embrace it with you, and they can make it fail. And so I interviewed their leaders, and they did what I just described. They said, cool, you can do it, but that's about as far as I'm going to go. Yeah.
You've helped me in so many ways with this, but you've championed it from the stage. You've shared in many messages different opportunities for people to get involved with church. And one of the things we do is RAP ministry, where we care about our local foster families. I mean, we've had it in announcement strategies. You've worked with me so many times one-on-one in like, let's sit down and brainstorm, and let's do leadership development, and let's build your team, and what do you need, and let's give you a budget. And so I've never felt like I was just having to do it on my own. I've always felt like this is something that I'm just leading, but that is part of our church.
So, and this, again, I don't want this to be as self-serving as it sounds. I'm saying this because I really want other Christians to hear this for other churches. How different would your foster ministry look today if I had that other approach? If either I said, no, do it on your own, or if I said, you can do it and I'll do this, and I just went and did something else. How different do you think it would be today?
It would be, I would probably feel so discouraged, and it would probably just still be in my garage. So my husband would be frustrated. And there's just it would just have so much less of an impact. Instead of being known across the whole state for Restore's RAP ministry, it would probably just be the people here in town who I was serving out of my garage like I used to before we teamed. We can make much bigger effort when we work together with the church than when one person just tries to do something on their own.
Yeah. Well, even beyond that, I want other Christians in other environments to hear your story, but also to hear my story. And again, not a self-serving way, but I'm saying like these other church leaders, and I can think of a friend who's really, really dear to me, who their foster ministry is a fraction of what it could be, because the church hasn't bought in. And I'm like, you're not going to get the whole church bought in unless you can get your leader excited about it. Like the decision maker, the vision caster, whoever has like the most stage time, public speaking time, they have to, I think, help you get everybody excited about it. And I want to have other church leaders who watch this here, like, when somebody like Leah Biorn comes up to you and says, hey, I have this great idea, that they're pre-ready to say, I'm ready to hear how I can help. And I want them to hear this. Like, if you don't help execute the vision, you have a massive ability to set them up for failure, rather than helping them do something that can really like God made the church to impact the whole wide world.
Right.
And let's think about every beautiful ministry opportunity like this. Like, this could be the thing we do that God uses to transform the world. Mm-hmm. And because we're thinking this way about foster ministry at Restore, I think a decade from now, we will look back at what we started a few years ago here, and we will see the foster statistics in Yankton at least have changed. The retention rate, for example, that's how you sold me. You sold me by saying, hey, 50% of foster families don't renew after the first year.
Nationally, yep.
Nationally. And we have this initiative that we think can impact that statistic. And I'm like, let's go. In the name of Jesus, let's change the statistic. Let's break the statistic. And I feel like, as we've championed this as a team, as a church, and not just said, hey, okay, Leah, I support you doing your dream, and you just go with God and be happy, and go do it.
You, boo.
And you go do you, boo. And we'll watch from afar and give you an atta girl whenever you do something well. We're like, no, we're in the what's Tim Tebow say? We're in the suck with you. When it sucks, we're in it with you. And when it's awesome, we're championing it with you. And it's so important for me to have other leaders help the Leahs of the world be successful. And especially, this is a good place to talk about, because I've seen so many ministries die before they started because they didn't have that extra step.
And it is making a difference in Yankton. And there are foster families that I know personally right here in Yankton who have told me we probably wouldn't have taken another placement, or we probably wouldn't have continued if we wouldn't have had the support of RAP.
Yeah. And even them listening to it, again, I'm not trying to give any attaboys to like myself or our leadership team, but like they have no clue how complicated it is to say, it happens because the whole church is like you're the face of this foster ministry to them, and they see this, but they also don't see all these intricate things behind the scenes on how like the church is strategically taking ownership of it to say like, hey, we are going to have a flag that we wave just boldly. We're going to talk about it all the time. It's going to be ingrained into our DNA as a ministry. And some of those people aren't even part of our church and never will be. But
some of them have come to our church because of it.
Absolutely. And that's awesome. And at the same time, but like they're benefiting from like just the gospel centered attitude of the church behind the scenes in a way that they have no way of saying
Christians
unless we say
cared
this.
for them.
Yeah. It's just, I'm so excited about it. So anyways, did that kind of make my point? I want other leaders to hear like, help make these things happen.
Oh yeah.
Help make it happen.
You don't have to do it all, but you do need to champion the person who's going to do it, and don't make them just feel like they have to do it alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the other people listening, don't be afraid to be the champion of adoption ministry, foster or something else, discipleship ministry, small group ministry.
Homelessness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's really good when, like, especially when a ministry is deficient in a certain area like that, like having pure religion, helping the orphans and the widows. I saw that on the bulletin that you sent us. This is pure religion, that you care for the orphans and the widows. But I think when a ministry is deficient in something like that, and then God raises someone up to take care of it, it's so important to hear that clear calling. I mean, especially with someone like you, Leah, who, I mean, you were like already after it. You were already doing it. And
I love what her husband says about her. When Leah asks, she makes it an easy yes.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite quotes of all time.
He doesn't
it's one of my favorite quotes.
That.
Yeah.
We were having sushi, and I said, Daniel, I see Leah do a lot of this stuff, and I know you're always doing it with her, but we always talk about how amazing Leah is, but Leah needs your support to do this. And I said,
oh yeah, he helps me a lot.
And I asked him like, how do you get behind it? Because I know he does, and he loves it, and he's passionate about it, but standing next to you, like your passion just off the charts. Not that he's not passionate, you're just off the charts. And so I'm like, Daniel, like what's your buy-in? And that was his answer without hesitation. He just looked at me. He said, man, when Leah asks, she just makes it an easy yes.
Thanks, dear.
Daniel, I'm getting you some husband points right now, and I will do that forever because it's one of my favorite quotes.
Come on, somebody.
Going back to your thing of true religion, where were you going with that?
Give me just a second here.
Because you were cooking, man.
I know.
And I had so many thoughts I wanted to share about it.
I know you did.
Did you know that?
Yeah, I heard him. I heard him just now. Yeah, but when someone is super passionate about something, it's usually a really good indication that God has called them to fix a problem going on.
Let's go.
And when we as church leaders, whether pastors or just leaders on a leadership team, when we kill that, I mean, we are just,
oh man, ouch.
We are killing something that changes lives.
How many callings have Christian leaders killed by not helping people live into their calling? Oh man.
And I don't.
No, that was wrong. There you go.
Wah. No, so like what I'm not saying is, you're going to ruin God's plan and because you made this one.
No, that's what you said.
No.
You said it.
When you make this one decision and kill this one person's hopes and dreams, you're ruining all of God's plans, and it's all your fault that the gospel hasn't got. Like that's not how God operates, right? Like he doesn't need you and me to do it.
But you might miss out on the blessing of helping somebody live out their calling, and that's even like, oh man, just the thought of that breaks my heart. Like the thought of missing out on experiencing Leah's calling, like be unveiled before her very eyes. Like I get to be her friend doing life beside her and her family, and I get to like watch her.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just make this shameless plug. Somebody donate $50,000 so that I can give this woman a full-time job. I don't know how much money. A full-time job to legitimately.
It's more than I make.
to legitimately just give me tens of thousands of dollars so I can create jobs. Give me millions of dollars so I can create jobs where people like Leah can do these types of things full time. And like
that's my dream.
Like that's literally all of our dream right here is to like Leah's so good at caring for vulnerable people, and like I mean everybody at this table is good at it, but like Leah has a calling to care for vulnerable people, and it's such an honor to help people unpack their calling. And I'm literally like, I see her doing it so well that I want her to have this job more than she wants to have this job, because I just want her to be on staff, doing this for the church full time, and not just in foster care, like the whole vulnerable population. And I want her to be like the first point of contact for everybody in the church to do it. And I think about how less, like the lesser quality my life would be if I stomped on that and didn't get in on the ground floor and help make that happen as a leader. Yeah.
I like what you said, that we would miss the blessing of it. And it's not that we receive anything, but we get a share in the joy of watching you just unfold as God just gives you more clarity. And
same for you, becoming Mr. Executive Youth Pastor, man.
Let me finish this. Let me finish this. I don't.
We'll talk about you.
Go.
Yeah, let me finish this. But like, if we were to quash that, either Leah you'd still be doing it out of your garage, or we wouldn't be the people sharing in the joy. Mm-hmm. There would be other people who God would raise up to champion that, and I mean that goes for every other ministry that like. And this is just for church leaders, church pastors, like be the person who empowers and hero makes someone else so that you are able to see the work of God and rejoice and praise your God in heaven. Because that's what,
so good.
I mean, like as a pastor, my job isn't just to make all the decisions where I know everything and I do everything. It's like, no, my job is to equip the saints, and
your job's to develop specialists so you can do less, which is a weird thought.
Yeah. So anyway, man, I'm glad that we what's the word I'm looking for? Empowered Leah to do what you're doing, because I think the entire landscape of foster ministry and adoption is changing in our area. And it's not just staying local. My sister, who lives, about an hour and a half away, wants to do this in her church.
Well, and now we're getting contact from other states now who want help from you.
Yeah,
man, y'all got to share these stories, because I'm in the dark.
Yeah,
That's good.
All over the state. Through my role with South Dakota Kids Belong as a state RAP director, right now we're helping churches in Rapid City and Aberdeen and Platte and Sioux Falls and Vermilion, all over the place, do what we're doing here. And we're helping a family in Nebraska. We're so close to the border here that I've never dealt at all with Nebraska child protection, but the department reached out to our church because of this ministry to help a foster family across the border.
Did you guys just hear that? The official state agency didn't reach out to just another agency. They reached out to the church to help, because the church has become the beacon of light, the light of the world, the salt of the earth that Jesus called us to be. How? By empowering people to do that. And oh man, that's the dream. Like our dream is to turn, and I know we kind of shifted away from just making this about foster care and adoption. It's more about like empowering people to do transformative ministry, but it's like, gosh, that's the ministry, right? Like what did Jesus always do? I'm going to twist everybody's arm to go do foster care right now. Here, what did Jesus always do?
Here, let me move so you can see the mirror.
What did shift the door a little bit so I can just stare myself down. Like, what did Jesus always do? Jesus always took care of the spiritual and practical immediate need of the people. Right. Mm-hmm. He never just faithed them. He didn't like, okay, hey, just here's a spiritual lesson. Just believe. Now, like, does that have credibility? Sure. Believe onto the Lord for salvation. Believe onto the Lord. Have faith. Have hope. Believe. But every single time Jesus touched somebody's life, he also addressed the immediate physical need. Hey, what is the greatest hurt of your heart? Oh, it's your physical ailment. Cool. Let me yank that out of your life right now. Oh, hey, what is the greatest immediate need in your life? Oh yeah, you're devastated with guilt from your habitual sin and lifestyle. Cool. Let me take care of that for you. You're forgiven. Now you can actually walk in a new path in life. Oh, hey, what is your greatest ailment? It's not that you have leprosy. It's that nobody is even, everybody is afraid to even touch you. Guess what? I'm going to heal you in the most intimate way possible. You haven't probably had physical touch from another human being in years. Guess what? touch, be healed. Like the church will be the light of the world and salt of the earth when we do things like foster care and adoption ministry, because we are also saying, hey, we believe, but what we believe transforms the way we live, and our life will impact the greatest practical need of society.
We need to live out what we say we believe, and this is just one really practical way that we can live out what we say we believe and who we are.
Man, what a great episode.
Yeah.
This has been so fun.
So
and
good.
All month long at Restore Church, we're going to be highlighting lots of ways that you can get involved in foster care and adoptive ministry, from the stage, from the website.
Yeah. If you want to get involved in foster ministry, whether you are currently at Restore Church or you're at a partnering church or you're just somewhere in the world, what I want you to do is go down to the link in the description of this. And if you're listening on Spotify and there isn't really a description for you to look at, you can go to myrestore.church and you can search for our email, which is connect@myrestore.church. That's connect@myrestore.church. Or you can shoot us a text message from the church phone number listed on our website. If you prefer email to be more official, you can use that email, or you can shoot us a text, and we would love to get you involved and get you connected. Are there any closing thoughts before we have to wrap this bad boy up?
Oh, we didn't actually say it yet, but that's the name of our foster ministry.
Yeah.
It's called our RAP ministry.
Why is it called RAP?
WRAP. It's an acronym for Words of Encouragement, Respite, Acts of Service, and Prayer, which are all ways that you can support foster and adoptive families.
Come on, somebody.
So, Leah, do you have any other thoughts you want to share on foster ministry or adoption?
It has been an absolute blessing in our life. It is my most favorite thing that we do as a family, and even though it has made it harder and fuller, it has made it better, and it has made so many opportunities for us to share about Jesus, because people ask, why do you do this? And it's all because of him.
Amen.
Come on, somebody.
3 wrap-up thoughts to review. Number 1, hey, if you're a leader, empower people. When they have a calling on their life and they ask you for help, don't go send them off to do it by themselves. Bring it into your church. You will transform the world that way. Other thing is, if you are pursuing your calling, if you want to make a difference in the world, it will be more difficult to make a difference than not. But you will never look back on your life and regret having a harder life that makes more meaning. And then the last thing is, not just the leaders, but the people listening. If the Lord has placed a burden on your heart to shake things up and start a ministry that addresses practical needs, lean into that. Like go talk to your pastor, your church leader, and say, how can I not just make some secular nonprofit do this? How do I make this a branch of the church? Don't be afraid to do it. And if all else fails, give us a call. We want to help. Let's go. Thanks for tuning into the Ramble today. We love you guys. We'll see you next time. Peace out.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.